Go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to What's Your Why, hosted by Max. Today, our guest is Chris Rappold. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And if you don't know this gentleman, he and I actually just really met and spoke probably for the first time. I think we've met in passing over the years, martial arts super shows, that kind of stuff. But we were at an event a couple of weeks ago and actually got to spend a few minutes talking. And this is just from what I picked up in a short period of time, this is such an amazing man who is, you can tell he's a giver. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to make sure I asked him if he wanted to be on the show. So again, thank you for being here. So let's get started. I mean, the easy question for everybody is, what brought you to martial arts? How'd you get started? And let's go
Yeah.
from there.
And listen, I don't want you to underestimate our friendship. You and I are Facebook friends. I mean, let's call it what it is, Doug. I mean, we're tightly bonded, you know.
Yes, sir.
We've been in, we've been in each other's circle for a long
Man,
time.
I bet I probably even like the post.
And I probably have as well. No, but I throw the compliment back at you because for your listeners to know, we were at Myocon and you had a booth set up and you were extraordinarily gracious with your time and your expertise, which certainly eclipses mine when it comes to publishing books and and such. And I was blown away about the generosity of time you shared with me. So I very much appreciate that. So when you asked,
Thank you.
of course, yes, sir. So when you asked me to be on the podcast, it wasn't even an issue. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So you asked how I got into martial arts. You know, this is coming up on my 43rd year, and that puts me right around growing up with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee on TV and watching them. And the action was great, but I think at a young age, I recognized that, or I was mesmerized rather, how they could walk into danger, either a bar room in the case of Chuck Norris or another karate studio in the case of Bruce Lee. And they'd walk in and have perfect calm and confidence. And I think from a very young age, if I really introspectively try to trace it back, I think it was that linkage for me of, I think martial arts is going to be my way to build that side within my life. And then I started at the YMCA. I took a 6-week course and then took some time off after that. And then when I reestablished myself in martial arts, I want to say I was 13. So maybe I took a year and a half off between the 6-week course and that, but I wanted to get back to it. And then, it just fit me like a glove and I've been doing it ever since, and I have I'm as truly as excited about martial arts today as I was when I first started.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked about, watching, Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee on TV, but was there like a defining moment when you went, you know, this is what I want to do?
Well, it's a great question. The person that I have to give the most credit to for my evolution as a martial artist, at least how people know me, would have to be Billy Blanks. He was my martial art teacher, and so
That's awesome.
yeah, so people of these days know him as the gentleman from Taibo, right? But in his day, he was one of the top fighters in the world. He was a multi-time world champion. He was a Golden Gloves boxer. He was a bodybuilder. I mean, he was it in my eyes. And, being 14 years old, I'm looking up to this person I'm watching on Wide World of Sports and, I was just blown away. So, I think when I found him, he exuded all of those things that I had seen on TV, only he was larger than life to me and helped to inspire. That's the kind of person that I want to be like and become. And so I would say probably joining his school just solidified it. Yeah.
So is there a connection between personal best karate and what you were just talking about?
There's 1,000% connection. And then there's 1,000% disconnection. And I'm sure if you or any of your listeners have been studying for a long time, the way that we teach martial arts is 1,000% different from the way that I learned it. It was in not, again, to knock any of my teachers or to disparage anybody, but call it what it is. It was a male dominated, ego filled, at least in my can you still hear me? Hello,
Uh,
sir.
yeah, welcome back again. Mexican internet.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know whether you heard me. I kind of stopped for a second. So, it was kind of, just to go back to it, it's just very different, right? It was a culture that, achieving a black belt honestly was a lot based on it was hazing rituals and all of this kind of what we would consider nonsense stuff. This was far before people understood CTE and the actual very real damage you can do training yourself a particular way. Um, so from the perspective of, is it the way that I learned it? No. But I've always been fascinated, probably like a lot of martial art instructors, on peak performance, what makes the difference between one person and another person. Um, how does somebody tap into that level of personal excellence? Personal excellence can be something, different for every single person, but for the people that we, in pop culture anyways, would look at and say, how did they do that? What defined them? What were those tangible things that we can look at? Their self-discipline, their level of focus, their concentration, their physicality. What is it that made them stand out so much? And then really aligning that with a relentless focus on somebody's own personal metrics. So I'm very big on me versus me. It doesn't matter, Doug, you could be, 20 times as strong as me, 10 times as fast as me. Your metrics are your metrics. And
that's
the only
sir.
thing that I compare myself to is how I have been in the past. And so the philosophy of personal best is really, it's hopefully it's gentle, but it's an obsessive focus on getting people to tune out the world around them, except for inspiration, and really tune into what it is that drives them, making sure that they're focused on the right things. I find that a lot of people, and why do I think this? Because I've battled it myself. We we diffuse a lot of energy looking at other people, and there's a line between, like when I talked about your knowledge of publishing, there's a level of inspiration that I'm gonna take from you, because that's a level of expertise you have that I don't. But there's that line of, can I get the inspiration from you? Can you share your education with me? And taking more of a, oh, I'll never be like Doug approach, which is useless and it's a burn of energy. Like, why do that? But it's easier. Sometimes it's easier said than done. And but as I teach people as young as 4 and as old as people in their 80s, it's a constant theme of, we don't compare ourselves to the person next to us. Let's run our own race, and let's be tied into those metrics, because if we focus on that, everything else takes care of itself. So
Yes, sir.
long answer to a short question you asked.
It's okay. It was a perfect one though, because
Thank
it
you.
it actually covered several other questions that I was going to ask. So now I just got to skip those.
Well,
That's how good you are, sir.
thank you.
So what would you do? I mean, literally, you've trained I don't know, would you say tens of thousands of students at
Uh,
this point?
yeah, where I'm very proud to say we've promoted, I think the numbers are somewhere over 2,500 people to black belt in our organization, which of course we're very proud of. And I believe we've kept a good, healthy standard there. Um, we've had people that are, have national rankings for the people that have wanted to take that route. And then we have people that have never gone to a martial art tournament, maybe an inter school tournament or something like that. I don't care. My goal is to help them reach their goal. We have people that have gone on to become Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, FBI agents, you know, police, fire, physicians, etc., dentists. Uh, you know, but if they can use the peak performance that we instill here, if they can use the physicality that's part of our program, if they can use what we do here as a way to help them reach their goals, I'm thrilled. And again, they're going to get a good, well-rounded martial art education. And then based on their interest, if they want to specialize in something, I'm going to try to point them in the right direction. Like I said, one of our instructors wants to do a boxing match. So I'm bringing somebody in because that's above a,
Oh no, here we
if,
go again.
yeah, I know it skipped for a second. If somebody wants to, go into the UFC, that's above my expertise. I'm not going to try to fake it. I'm going to align them with one of my friends that does that. If somebody wants to be on Team Paul Mitchell, well, that's an area I could probably help.
It is, my internet is just being so uncooperative this morning. It's worse than normal.
Yeah, no problem. I can relate to it because I've had the same same challenge doing my podcast, which is why I upgraded my computer. In my case, they did they did a troubleshooting on it, and they found, yeah, your computer's 14 years old. And and here I was thinking it was the internet, or I thought it was the program I was using. It turned out to be mine. So who knows? Yeah,
Well, it might be the problem too. It might be me instead of the internet.
yeah, no idea.
Oh,
It's all good.
uh, yes, sir. All right, let's keep going. So one of the hardest things that I know for me personally, when I lived in Georgia and was working at my martial arts school, was getting the parents to play a helping role, I think, in martial arts, not just at home, which is where most of that would happen, but also getting them to participate in a class kind of session. So, how do you convince the parent that it's not a responsibility, but that boy, it sure makes this kid's life better when the parent is really involved in the things that they want to do.
Yeah, it's a very, very great question. I'd like to say we take the education of the parent, indoctrinating them into our school. We take that as serious as we do indoctrinating the child. We have a triangle as part of our logo, and there's different meanings of the triangle. In sparring, it's timing, distance, and motion. In in personal development, it's physical, mental, spiritual. In in what you're talking about, it's teacher, student, parent. And you cannot uh, reach the potential of a dependent child unless the parent, not the full potential of the child, unless the parent is willing to engage and wants to engage. So, it's very much. educating the parent on the why of what we do. Because I think, martial arts, we're dealing with people that have a level of disposable income, or we're dealing with parents that don't have a level of disposable income, but they love their child so dearly, they're doing whatever they can to provide it for them. And I think in either case, that's the type of parent we can work wonders with. And when you create a culture that makes it easy and invites the parents to be part of it, not burdens the parents, but invites the
Right.
parents to participate, um, I think it becomes very easy. We're proud to say we're a family martial arts school. That doesn't mean we water anything down. It just means, you're not going to see people walking around without shirts on and um, I mean, it's the smell of the school is going to be clean, and we're going to we pride ourselves on keeping our school neat and clean, so that if a parent walked in, a grandparent walked in, it's a comfortable place for them to sit. There's a nice view of the floor. They can be comfortably immersed in what we're doing, and
Yes, sir.
yes, sir, and we include them in. And I think when you take those type of approaches, and then you gently encourage participation through different things that we do, it doesn't become the fight that sometimes it can be.
Nice. So, what about, and there's a lot of, one person shows that are still out there. So there's 46,000 martial arts schools in the United States, more or less. And the majority of them are single owner run.
Yep.
So, what advice would you give those people who are feeling stuck, or maybe they're feeling burnt out, or whatever that case might be? What kind of advice would you give them to help kind of push them along, to tell them it's worth it?
Yeah, so I'll make a couple comments on that, and it's again, I'm the biggest fan of martial arts. Like, I want to see everybody do well. Um, the big chain organizations, or the people that are aspiring to have a large chain, I want to see them do well, and I want to see them represent what we do well. And then for the ones that are called the single operators of the mom and pops, I want to see them do well too. And I think there's a place for everyone.
Absolutely.
It would be like saying, well, we can only have Olive Garden. We can't have, the local Italian restaurant in our area that everybody goes to. No, there's a place for everybody. So my advice is twofold. One, give your heart and soul to what you do, and be proud of what you do on whatever level you do it. And then the second piece is, I say SAS, which is stay a student. Because I find that people, when your outflow exceeds your inflow, that's when burnout happens. I'm a student on a dot in two different martial arts systems every week. I'm a student on a dot because I want to continue to learn and grow. If all I was doing was giving out, giving out, giving out, giving out, giving out, there's nothing coming back into me. So I find that people that, in any field, by the way, I find that burnout
True.
most often is, well, I used to train, um, but if I pressed them and said, well, when's the last kind of hard workout to failure you had? Well, I mean, I'm this age, I don't really do that anymore. Well, I'm not saying you have to do that, but when's the last time you were a white belt in a class and, like, learning, struggling to figure something out and challenging your mind that way? To me, it's it's just what we do. It's what makes the martial artists that I admire. It's what makes them great. They bring a level of curiosity to it. If it was about teaching a form pattern, I would have been bored with martial arts a long time ago, because how many times can you do it? if that's all you're doing. I'm not talking about at a world-class level. Obviously, you got to do
Right.
hundreds of thousands of repetitions. And obviously I've competed at the highest level in martial arts, so I love doing that too. But there's also a place for us to continue to learn and grow as people. I'm going to be 56 in a few weeks here, and look, I can't compete the way I could when I was 25, but I want people to say, well, he's not as fast or whatever as he was when he was 25, but you should see what he's doing now. You should see how he's learning and growing now, and the interesting thing he's involved in. So he still has that knowledge of what he knew at 25, but there's so much more of an elegance, and there's so much better a way of communicating and assimilating that information to the students. And I don't want people to say I used to train with Chris when he was good, you know, right? Uh, I think if you, I think it was you, right? You walked in at like 7 o'clock in the morning at Myacon, and John Gaston and I are rolling around on the floor over there by the stage, and he was gracious enough to, be sharing some skills that he's just recently learned. Um, yeah, to me, that's the fun of it all. That's what bonds us all together. That's what started the whole love affair with this beautiful art that we have. Um, Getting back to comparison, if it's how I'm going to be compared to one of the Gracies or something like that, I'm always going to be discouraged. But if it's, boy, the privilege of being able to work with somebody that's devoted their life to whatever their art is, oh man, I'm happy as a clam. I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled to be a part of that.
Do you ever have trouble balancing traditional martial arts or the tradition of martial arts with innovation?
Um, I so for better or worse, I'm somebody that I would call myself a centrist. I see the value in traditional martial arts, whether it's the protocols, um, or whether it's the particular way they generate power. I'll find you take the most traditional art or the physicality, and you look at the most progressive form of combat today, some sort of blended MMA. Uh, I see commonalities between the two of them. I don't. I mean, I see the differences. Of course, I do.
Right.
And there's a place for everything. But neither one of those things turns me off. I can appreciate. I can. Well, look, take Team Paul Mitchell. So I've been involved with the team for 38 years. We have performance martial artists on our team, and I look at them, and not only do I know I can't do what they do, I don't even know the name of the move that they just did. And I don't even know if it's been named, because it's probably something they just innovated. And then we have, our sport karate fighters on our team that basically score 90% of their points with a back fist reverse punch and a side kick or a round kick. Those are techniques I learned as a white belt. That is white
Yes,
belt
sir.
material. So who's more advanced? The point fighter isn't going to win performance martial arts, and the performance martial artist isn't going to hit anybody with that stuff. That's okay with me. You take somebody that, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to watch somebody at a very high level like do Tai Chi. I'll be mesmerized. I'm not a fan of ballet. I'm not. But if you brought me to, if you, Doug, if you and I said, hey, let's go out to the ballet, which I don't think is we're going to do. But if,
We could though.
yeah, but you put me in an auditorium with the Boston Ballet, and I'm going to be swept away because I have an idea of what they had to do to be able to demonstrate what they're demonstrating to us. So I don't look at that and like, oh well, that would never work on the street. Like those things don't even come to my mind because that's not what they're doing. It's not the expression of that. Some people, they judge every martial arts as will it work on the street? And I don't.
Uh, but you're
It's just
absolutely right.
yeah, it's I shoot, there's so many different parts of martial arts. I think the only time people get in trouble is when somebody, I stay in my lane. So a performance martial artist, a movie star, they're amazing at what they do. Amazing. But you have to be, you have to appreciate that that is performance and be very proud of that. But don't say that that's going to be your go-to street moves. And for the street person, you're not going to be able to do what they do. So why don't we all just appreciate each other? But sometimes people will, kind of impose their viewpoint, and I don't go there. I just
Uh,
I see the beauty in it. Yeah.
I'm with you. I think there's a place for everything. Absolutely.
My
All
mom,
right.
yeah, I mean, um, there's people that, Richard Plowden out of Michigan, who's a former Team Paul Mitchell member and a lifelong friend of mine. He works with in the hospital setting, teaching children that have cancer martial arts.
Amazing.
You know what? That makes my heart happy. I don't think they're thinking about defending themselves on the street. Uh, it's a beautiful place. You take an elderly person, maybe that can't do the impact stuff, and they're learning Tai Chi. Awesome. You take the 22-year-old who wants to study MMA and it fits their body. Beautiful. Whatever. It's all. I love it all.
All right. Here comes the fun part.
Yes,
I'm going
sir.
to ask you 5 questions, and you're going to give me the first thing that comes to mind. Woo, no pressure. No pressure. All right. What's your favorite martial arts movie of all time?
Oh, shit. Oh, come on.
We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. All right. If you could train with any martial artist, living or dead, who would it be?
Probably Hickson Gracie.
What's one book you think every martial artist needs to read? And it
Zen and
doesn't
the
have to be a, what is it?
Zen and the martial arts.
Zen in the martial arts. I was going to say it doesn't have to be a martial arts book if you didn't want it to be.
Hmm.
What's your favorite training skill that just never gets old to you?
I'm sorry, training program.
Drill. What drill? What drill do you do that you've done forever that is just like it never gets old? I could do this every day, all day.
Yeah, I think I have a joint loosening sequence that I do that just it's been with me for years and it feels great to my body.
Oh, you might have to tell me about that more one time. What do you do to decompress after you've had a long day of teaching, coaching, business, whatever it might be?
Hmm. Sometimes I will put a movie on, and particularly a movie that I've seen before, something that I know will uplift me or make me feel the way, bring those feelings out that I think will get me out of that headspace that I'm in. That's wonderful. And then, but honestly, my go-to really is working out. Whenever I work out, I always feel better afterwards than I did before.
Excellent. All right, you think about that movie?
One of the movies that came to my mind was Bloodsport. I think that
That's a good one.
yeah, because I think Van Damme in that movie he demonstrated things that at that time I had never seen, and his physique, like Bruce Lee, and I mean all of the movie stars, of course, they have a great physique, but That was just very impressive. Yeah.
Just don't tell Casamassa how good he looks.
Oh, listen, I love that guy. He's Chris and I, we competed against each other. I think one time in Kentucky. Um, we've hung out a little bit, but I think the world of him. I think he's very sharp, intelligent. He's a well-rounded martial artist, well-spoken. So I nothing but praise for him. Yeah.
Oh, me too, but I didn't want to tell him that when I saw him. He walked in and said hi to me when I was there, and I was going, Jesus, man, look at you. You look great. And he's patting me, and I put on a few kilos, let's just say, and he's going, you Doug, you look good. You like you've been working out. And I'm going, no, you're just blowing smoke now. Let's talk about who looks good.
Yeah, he does. He
Look
takes
at
good
those
care.
arms, veins popping out again. Amazing. He's an amazing guy. All right, we're going to wrap things up here. I know you got something that you got to do here in a few minutes. So, if you could give one piece of advice to a brand new student, and you probably have kind of again a go-to that you actually have, what is it?
I would say run your own race. Be patient. Honor honor whatever potential you have by staying in the lane of where you're at and remain coachable. If you've invested the time to find a good mentor, a good teacher, trust the process. They've been there, they've done that. Model the behaviors and the skills that you've seen, and understand that it's a lifestyle, it's a journey, and it's not, you never arrive. And that can either depress you or it can inspire you that there's always levels. But you and I both know people that have been doing martial arts for 50 plus years, and they're still in the game. Hi.
Uh, it's good to see you, sir.
Oh, pleasure,
Now
pleasure.
you were saying that we've known people that have done martial arts for 50 years, and
Yeah, and they're still at it. They're still in the game. They're still learning, growing. You think of somebody like a Dan Inosanto, who's, I think he's 89 years old. Mr. Norris, who is 83, 84 and looks phenomenal. There's and so many others. So I'm inspired and excited by that. Yeah.
all right. If somebody wanted to follow you to learn more, we know that they can always check out you at your karate school. So tell us, where can they find you on Facebook, Instagram, at a martial arts location, something
Sure.
so that they can follow you along.
Sure. So Facebook would probably be a great place to go. They could DM me or Instagram, and it's Christopher, not Chris. So on those channels, it's Christopher Rappold. Or they, can see me at an upcoming event if they're tournament type people, because I'm typically there with Team Paul Mitchell. So yeah, they're happy to have anybody reach out. The name of our school is Personal Best Karate, so certainly somebody could find me, just typing that in as well.
What's next on Team Paul Mitchell?
Next on our agenda, I believe, is the Diamond Nationals in Minneapolis. So that'll be our next team event, and that's in October.
All right, fantastic. Well, listen, thank you again so much. I appreciate your time and your patience with the internet going in and out.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and thank you for your accommodation of time. Thank you for the generosity of how you approach things, and I appreciate it, and I really look forward to continuing to watch you grow and progress in the areas you're working in right now in the publishing. I'm super excited for you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
All
All
right.
right. Well, you guys stay tuned. We'll have a new guest coming up next week. That'll be a special surprise we'll keep for then. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys on Watch Your Why next.